Welcome to this series on tricky questions and straight answers, answers to biblical queries.
You said that God created the universe. Then who created that God?
Thank you, madam, for that wonderful question. We face this question everywhere. We speak on the topic of God. It is a natural question. We appreciate the question. What I said is that the universe is so vast. For this universe to originate, there has to be a prior source according to the laws of thermodynamics. According to the first law, energy can neither be created nor be destroyed, which means that energy has to be derived from a pre-existing source or a prior source. It simply means that according to the second law of thermodynamics also, there has to be a beginning for this universe because the rate of entropy is increasing every day at a constant rate. Extrapolating back, there has to be a day on which there was zero entropy or disorder, which means that the universe has a beginning. Therefore, it should have a day of origin and a day of creation, and therefore a creator as well. This is the admitted stand of scientists as well. For example, Stephen Hawking, who was a very eminent scientist of our generation, he said that at the time and prior to that of Big Bang, there was no science, there was no scientific laws, everything was metaphysics. What is metaphysics? Metaphysics is the realm of philosophy, faith in God, religion, and the like. So Stephen Hawking had to depend on metaphysics to talk about the origin of universe. Science doesn't have any answers. But according to the Bible, there is an eternal, uncaused, first cause. He created everything. Bible starts with the statement that God created the heavens. That is the first statement of the Bible. The Bible clearly says that there is an uncaused, eternal, first cause who created everything. When seeing this universe, we can immediately guess that that eternal creator should be a person. Why? Because the universe is so diverse, so beautiful. See the wings of a butterfly, how beautiful is that? What about the stripes on a tiger? How beautiful. How about a dancing peacock? How beautiful. Such beauty, such design can come only from a person. It cannot come from a power. For example, we know that when gunpowder is burned, lot of energy comes out, lot of power comes out, but the power will not have any order. It just comes out. So a power will not have desire, will not have beauty conscience, will not go for any diversity. It will just work. But in regard to the universe, it has a lot of design and lot of intelligence behind. Therefore, we can safely conclude that there should be an eternal, uncaused, first cause, who is a person. That person is God. Yes, there is a God. Then your question comes, who created that God? I would rephrase your question with the freedom as a person who is answering. Your question is this: who is the creator of the uncreated God? Who is the creator of the uncreated God? There are two important terms in your question which mutually nullify: created God and uncreated God. Creator and uncreated are opposite words. They are contradictory. Your question has two contradictory statements. Therefore, your question itself is a nonsensical question. No sense to that question. It is almost like the question, have you stopped beating your mother? Expecting yes or no answer. If you say yes, then it means that you were beating and now you stopped. If you say no, it means that you are beating even now. But that answer is not true. For a nonsensical question, you cannot expect a logical or reasonable answer. who created God is a nonsensical question, and no one can expect a logical answer for that. Yes, there is an eternal, uncreated first cause, personal God. If it is so straightforward, why are people denying the existence of God? It is because if there is a God, he has to be a virtuous God. He has to be absolute in all virtues. Can you think about a God who is angry for everything, who is so holy that he cannot tolerate any unholiness? Then nothing will remain. No creation will be there. As we know, we are all imperfect. This world is full of sin. So we are all imperfect. How can God tolerate so much of imperfection? The reason is that he has the virtue of love in its absolute condition. He is absolute love. Just like that, God has to be absolute in every other virtues. So if there is a God, he has to be a virtuous God, and he has to be absolutely holy as well. And his commandments also will be for keeping absolute holiness. That is true. If you take the Bible, God expects utmost holiness, utmost love, utmost mercy, utmost grace. There is no book in the world which is stipulating so much of a highly, absolutely respectable standard of living. Yes, Bible is such a book. Why is it? Because it is given by an absolute God. So I'll come back to my earlier question. Then why people don't believe in this God? Because he stipulates absolute holiness. Just like an ostrich which hides its head in the sand, people want to disobey the commandments of God by telling themselves that there is no God. Therefore, people, for the sake of convenience and because of moral reasons, are denying the existence of God. That's all. But what should be our responsibility? Our responsibility should be obey his commandments. What is his primary, most important commandment to us is to get rid of the sin in which we are. Simply by reading the newspaper of a day, you will be totally convinced that this world is full of sins. Yes, this world is full of sins. There is nobody who is holy. Every other person is a sinner. We are surviving just because God is absolutely love. But the fact remains that he wants us to get rid of our own sins ourselves. And he is not a God who would ask us to do so without giving an option for that, a way for that. Yes, God gave a way for our remission of sin. You know why? We were not able to find out a way because we were convicted for eternal punishment. We couldn't help ourselves. Nobody else also could because they are all also under the punishment for eternal punishment. Therefore, God had to make some remedy. Had it been a simple civil case, somebody else could have given the debted amount on my behalf and released me out of the debt. But here it is not possible. All are convicted for eternal punishment. So the loving God had to find out the way. He found out the way. That way is that God should appear as a man and die on our behalf and take away our punishment fully, in full measure. This was possible only if God came in our place and died, because no other person can die. Only God can bear the full punishment for all the humanity. You know why? When Jesus died on the cross, he suffered for hours together. Even 1 second of his suffering in terms of physical punishment, separation from his Father love, and also the mocking by his own creation. Yes, that is much more than or infinitely higher than all the punishment the whole humanity would have suffered forever in hellfire, because he is an eternal being. He is an omniscient being. An eternal omniscient being will definitely feel the pain of each and every second suffered forever and ever, from eternity to eternity. Therefore, Jesus could carry our full punishment, and he came and died on the cross on my behalf, in my place, and took away my punishment. If I believe that Jesus did that on my behalf and accept Jesus as my Lord, yes, my sin problem will be solved. I will be able to live for God after that. I will be able to pursue holiness. It is true that as long as I live in this earth, there may be minor mistakes and all. But for a believer, there is a hope for a day on which the whole problem of sin will perfectly vanish. That is when Jesus Christ comes. What I am saying is that there is a commandment from God to believe in the sacrificial death in our place, committed by Jesus Christ, and also to accept Him as Lord and Savior, so that we will be able to follow His commandments and live accordingly and get rid of our sin problem. That is the biggest commandment. Yes, if there is a God, you have to obey Him and get rid of your sin problem. May God bless you. Thank you, one and all.